Do you think India is doing bad in geopolitics? Because first, India doesn't make any irreversible harm to terrorist nation Pakistan during Operation Sindoor, and also did not get any territorial gains. Bangladesh is out of hand to oppose it in opposite Indira Gandhi separated Pakistan and Bangladesh. So the question is, why is India not doing well in geopolitics? Right? I mean, for some time, for a few years, it was all about the rise of India and all that, right? India is now respected across the world. When you travel abroad, people see you with respect. And that was a story for a while, wasn't it? And now it looks like everything is going backwards, right? So, what's the situation? See, I am a realistic person. I am not a sensationalist. I don't sensationalize things like very lots of YouTubers do. You know, all those world war. Whenever I go to as a guest on a podcast, typically I discuss the things I discuss here, but you will see that the title and thumbnail is all about World War III, that sort of thing. So that is called sensationalism. I don't do sensationalism, at least here on this channel. I don't do it anywhere else, but yeah, the title and thumbnail that other people put up, it's not in my control. The point is, I am realistic, and let's discuss this realistically. Is India doing well in geopolitics? Is India doing poorly in geopolitics? I think it's middle ground somewhere. India isn't doing great in geopolitics. India isn't doing great overall, but India is still growing as an economy. India has a lot that's going in its favor, but India has issues. India has various issues. So I always discuss things from the perspective of hard power, power projection, military bases, GDP, and so on. Let's discuss things from a geo-economic perspective, shall we? Hmm? So, where does India stand in terms of, see, the most powerful countries in the world, they control a number of things in the world, or in some parts of the world at least. They control resources. Resources are the key to everything in geopolitics. They're the key to power. Okay, they control resources. Then they control or own manufacturing. You take those raw materials, raw resources, natural resources, and turn them into finished products. That happens through manufacturing. So you have resources, then you have manufacturing. Then to do manufacturing, you need human capital. You need high quality human beings. Okay? You need intellectual property, the know-how, the technology to convert these raw materials into finished products. Right? So that's human capital, it's intellectual property, it is technology. So you have resources, you have manufacturing, you have human capital, intellectual property, and technology. Then and knowledge, the know-how of how to do things. And then at the end of the day, you need money. Your GDP matters, right? What's your GDP? How much are you earning, and how much? What's your gross domestic produce, and so on. So where does India stand in all of this? India is not. I mean, India is a massive land area, right? Subcontinent-sized thing, land area. So we have plenty of resources, but we don't have the kind of resources that Russia has or Africa has as a whole. We lack certain natural resources, such as oil and gas. We depend on other countries for our energy requirements, right? We import oil and gas from various other nations. We are not self-sufficient in terms of energy. We are not energy sovereign. Other resources, for example, fissile material, uranium, we have to import from other countries, right? We produce most of our own food and so on. So when it comes to resources, the critical things we kind of lack. When it comes to rare earths and lithium and all, we have big resources, but we don't use them. So you see that is a lack of strength. That's a lack of initiative, lack of whatever, but it makes you weaker compared to nations who actually use the resources they have. Then manufacturing, well, where are we on manufacturing? What happened to Make in India? It's going okay. It's not 10 out of 10. It's not 0 out of 10. It's maybe 5 out of 10, right? It's not doing great, but it's not doing very poorly also. Maybe 5 out of 10. But China is like 9.8 out of 10 in terms of manufacturing. The Chinese have done their job. The Chinese also have this lack of resources, at least in terms of energy. But manufacturing, they have mastered it. Human capital, they have really improved their human capital through the education system and through training their citizens in science and technology and manufacturing and all that, engineering, all that. They have acquired all the intellectual property they need, all the technology they need, all the knowledge, the know-how they need. India lags far behind than China in these matters. So resources, India lacks resources. Manufacturing, India is not doing great in manufacturing. We haven't solved our problems. Human capital, abysmal, poor, ridiculously bad, trashy education system. Uh, Technology, we still beg for technology. Knowledge and know-how, it's all going out, brain drain, right? When it comes to GDP, we're doing okay, but we are like one fourth of China, one, I don't know what, of the US. So very fourth largest GDP in the world, but relatively quite small. So these are the issues why India is doing poorly in geopolitics. Okay, it's not just about military strength. It's not just about how many nukes you have. From a military perspective, the air force, well, India's air force is just slightly ahead of the Pakistani air force. Can you believe it? I just don't understand how we have reached the situation. Right? Uh, we still import things. We still import Rafales. We've signed a huge deal with the French for Rafales. Missiles, we have some of the best missiles in the world. I hope we have adequate numbers of missiles, maybe tens of thousands of missiles we would need to fight a proper sustained war. I hope we have that. I'm not sure, but let's see. Navy wise, we are on. We have embarked upon a shipbuilding campaign, which is good. Maybe 50 warships are being considered right now. All right, we are lagging behind terribly in submarines. Right, power projection. Well, we can't project power even in the subcontinent. The external powers can do regime changes around us, all around us, East Pakistan, West Pakistan, Nepal, etc. We just sit and watch. So we can't even project power in our own neighborhood, in our own backyard, right? Forget about the Indian Ocean region. The Indian Ocean region is our strategic backyard. That's our slogan. But what do we actually do for it to make it happen? Maybe we are kind of working on that. But yeah, the naval power is key to that. We are essentially out of the space race now. The government doesn't seem to think that space is important when everybody else is going to the moon and to Mars and also in Earth orbit. But we have simply given up, it looks like, the space race. And then we have internal issues in India. I mean, you must have heard me say that the Americans, when they talk about India, their relationship with India, they speak about shared values. That India and the US have shared values. But when the Americans talk about Pakistan, they talk about shared interests. That the US and Pakistan have shared interests. Well, interests always trump values. Do we Indians, 1.4 billion Indians, do we have shared values? Do we have shared interests? Well, the way things are going, different groups have different interests and different values now. And different groups are being pitted against each other within the country. So when this happens, you're going to have internal divisions. The internal divisions were originally created by the Turks and then by the British, but now we are exacerbating that. We are deepening and widening the divisions and the fissures. That's what we are doing. So these are the reasons why India is doing not so great in geopolitics. You see, it's not about Pakistan and the terrorist nation and Operation Sindoor, and obviously all that is also there. These are symptoms, not the actual root causes. You see? So yeah, that's a realistic view of where India stands in geopolitics.